MicroStrategy is up 7% last week. It's down on the month about 6% and up over 60% over the last 3 months. It's just crossed a trend line recently and it's looking like it's setting up for a really good opportunity for a trade, offering around 25% upside. So in this video, I'm going to offer my thoughts on some possible rules around a trade entry and look at a price analysis. Let's take a look. Now, if you find value in my analysis of MicroStrategy today or other stocks on my channel, you might also find value in my email trading tips newsletter. I'll leave a link in the description below. If you sign up, I'll send you professional trading tips to help you make more profits trading stocks. Check it out. So we can see on screen on the weekly chart for MicroStrategy, this stock is long-term bullish. And more recently, it has peaked around about $540 before falling into this support level around about $230. It's broken a trend line recently and has created a new peak, possibly indicating we can use this level for a trade entry. So zooming in, we can see price found support around about this level here. It's broken the trend line and created this new price peak around about 6 weeks ago at $430. It's pulled back since then, and so if price can break through this level, potentially we could use Dow theory as a trade entry and trade the stock up to this peak here of $544, giving around a 25% upside. Now, based on that 544 peak, that seems to be a key level for MicroStrategy. So let's mark that one up. And you can already see on screen, I've marked up the level of $430, which corresponds to the most recent peak for MicroStrategy after it broke that trend line. Now, the next level I want to mark up is around about 360, and it is this low here where price appears to have found some short-term support. So I'll mark that one up. Now, underneath that level of this trough here, we've got this peak, that last peak before the trend line was broken. So I'm going to mark that up because if price falls through here, it might find support at 344. Under 344, we've got this significant low here of 284. Which corresponds to this trough back in December 2024. So let's mark that. And under that level, we've got this key level here of around about $230, where we can see MicroStrategy has found support on once, twice, almost 4 occasions across this time period between February and also April this year. So now that we have this chart marked up with key price levels, we can see MicroStrategy is currently trading above this level here of 360 and underneath this level here of 430. So currently, based on the time of recording, it's at $392. Now we know this stock is long-term bullish, and we also know that since this price peak here of 540 during November 2024, it has been in a medium-term downtrend, falling into this price level here of $230, and it's tested it on a number of occasions and it seems to be holding up. Now you can see I've got a trend line on the price action of this stock, and you can also see that during this week here, the week of 21st of April 2025, the buyers came in aggressively and they've taken the price up, breaking this medium-term downtrend. Now, since this low, there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks up in total, so 5 strong green bars, showing there's been significant buying coming into this stock. And price has peaked out at this point here of around about $430. And in the last 5 weeks, price has fallen away with some selling pressure. We've got 1, 2, 3 red bars. And it looks as if the stock has found support around 360. Now, since the stock found that low around about this level here, those green bars have taken it up a total of 85% up to that level of 430. So that's very bullish. Now, since that high how much selling pressure was there? Where did the sellers take the price back down to? So from the peak, the sellers came in, but they only took it back down to around about 360, which corresponds to a negative 15% decrease. You can see, based on how much the price has pushed off this support level, broken the trend line, it's only retraced 15% after this massive move of 85%. So if this level holds, this is looking very bullish. The sellers have had their chance and they've only been able to push the price back down around about 16% after that big move up of 85%. Essentially, we've had a big swing high up to this point here. We've now come back to test into the level of 360, and it looks as if now price is going to move up and challenge this level of 430. And if the buyers are still coming in and seeing value at this stock, and it looks as if they are, and price exceeds this peak here of 430 in the next few weeks, this would constitute a confirmation using Dow theory, and you could definitely use this rule to enter and trade this stock. Now, if you're a bit more aggressive and you want an earlier entry, you could also use the counter trend rule to enter the stock. And that rule did trigger a few weeks ago. So we can see since the low, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks up. And then there was a 3-bar counter trend. So what you can do using that rule is to use the high of the last counter trend bar as your entry rule. Effectively, when price exceeded this level here, so the high was 381.30, and the price went above that point the following week, you could have entered that trade. Now, whether you use the rule that says when price exceeds that high on any day, or you use the rule that price must exceed that high and then close for the whole week, it depends on your rules. On the day, you could have entered last week at some time, but on the week, you would have had to wait potentially for this week for price to close above that peak there. So obviously this bar here is the Monday, the 9th of June. So using that counter trend rule, if the price closes for the week above this peak here, you could definitely use that counter trend rule to take the trade and enter next week. Or you could wait a little longer for price to take out this peak here and enter above 430 using Dow theory. So 2 options to take the trade and enter on confirmation. If you were to take the trade and use the counter trend rule to enter, what sort of upside potential is there for this trade? Well, entering at this point here and using a stop loss of around 10%, or using the level of 344 as your stop loss, that would be around 9 to 10%, and your first take profit could be the peak here at 430. This would give you a first take profit of 13%. The stop would be around 10%, giving you a risk to reward of 1.4. Now, if price continues up and breaks that level, then you can trade it up to the all-time high of 544. This would give you an upside of 43%, stop loss at 10, giving you an overall risk to reward ratio of 4.69. A good opportunity then with that counter trend rule, but it does carry more risk because you're entering quite early. Now, for more confirmation, you may wish for price to take out this price peak here around about 430, and this would be using Dow theory. So if you entered at 430 at that price peak, you'd have around 26% to that target point here of 542, 543. And with a 15% stop loss, you'd have a risk to reward ratio of 1.65. So perfectly acceptable trade. So overall, MicroStrategy is looking good. Long-term bullish, medium-term pullback, but it does look as if now, having broken that trend line, it is going to move up and challenge that all-time high. Now, if it can take out that level of 430, it would constitute an entry rule using Dow theory. But having said this, based on the way that it's unfolding, I think I might be inclined to use that counter trend entry to get a bit more profit. It is higher risk, but the way the price is unfolding, I'd be quite confident to take that trade and probably enter above this price peak here. Let me know what you think in the comments. Would you take this trade? Would you enter on counter trend theory or using Dow theory? I'm keen to know what your rules are and your feedback. Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.